everyone. My name is John Evans, and I'm the Chief Technology Advisor with a SLED focus at Worldwide Technologies. I'm excited to be with you here today for our digital event, Machines and the AI Journey. And this event has had some really great stories from both private sector and federal government around leveraging artificial intelligence. Now, here today, I'm joined by Dave Fletcher, Chief Technology Officer with the state of Utah, to dive into some of the use cases for artificial intelligence in state and local government. And Dave, before we get into our conversation, could you please introduce yourself to your audience and just tell us a little bit more about your role with the state of Utah?
Sure, John. Thank you for that. I am Dave Fletcher. I'm the Chief Technology Officer with the state of Utah. I've been in that role for about the last 15 years. At about that time, in 2005, we consolidated IT in the state of Utah and created a central department. And at that time, we also created the Chief Technology Officer position. And it's been fun to experience those last 15 years and to interact with other states and governments, not just here in the US, but around the world on initiatives like that we're talking about today.
Great, thank you. So I'm just going to jump right into it, if that's okay, Dave. So over the past several years, I would say Utah has really kind of been one of the leading states in the area around AI, and you've adopted several large AI initiatives, and you've even gone a step further, is my understanding, and organized a central AI Center of Excellence. Can you tell us a little bit about that Center of Excellence, kind of what its purpose is, how it kind of came about?
Yeah, actually, I was sitting at a Gartner conference a number of years ago, and they started talking about centers of excellence, and I felt like we needed to apply some governance in Utah to what I saw as perhaps the most important emerging technology on our radar at the time. As you know, artificial intelligence is not one particular technology, but sort of a suite of technologies that all relate to the ability of machines to demonstrate human-like characteristics, to be able to learn. And so we had already been experimenting with some things like the use of machine learning to detect fraud, for example, in various systems. And also it was about the same time that Amazon released their first Amazon Echo device. And as we were reviewing potential technologies that we do on a regular basis and their applicability to government, we thought of some good applications for the Amazon Alexa and rolled out some of those and got some good responses from people about how they were able to use them. So things like being able to find phishing hotspots and to be able to find public meetings just by asking the Alexa devices simple questions. And so those were some of our early initiatives several years ago. And then 2 years ago, we created the Center of Excellence. And we were able to pull together people that had an interest from departments around the state to be able to begin identifying use cases within their individual business areas, things like transportation and healthcare and natural resources. All were able to identify applications for artificial intelligence. And so we brought in some experts, some partners, business partners like Google and Microsoft and Salesforce, ServiceNow, that all had begun integrating AI into their application suite. And they came in. Our first year was sort of focused on having a learning center of excellence that was focused around sharing information with agencies about what the potential was for artificial intelligence and what kind of use cases could be developed. And so we had, I think, about 8 brown bag sessions with different vendors and experts in AI, and that helped us to sort of lay groundwork And now this last year, we've been focused around 12 specific initiatives that are beginning to expand that groundwork and develop a framework for artificial intelligence. So we want to develop, for example, a statewide framework for chatbots, so that each agency doesn't do, a separate kind of chatbot, but that we can actually roll up the intelligence and share ideas and information across the state enterprise, and roll out a chatbot framework that's much more effective. We wanted to develop the skill sets within our IT department to be able to support this growing array of AI use cases. We need to develop an ethical framework. We wanted to understand how we can leverage edge computing and develop an infrastructure for streaming data and ensuring that we have quality data. I think AI depends a lot upon quality data. So we've been doing a lot of things in those areas in our Center of Excellence, and once we get through this year, we'll develop another set of initiatives to carry us forward from there.
That's excellent. You guys are doing a lot. That is great to hear. Things that you're talking about around some of the moral implications and the consolidation of IT. Really bringing in a lot of different agencies along with the industry partners to make sure that you're accurately or effectively identifying and prioritizing your projects. Sounds like you guys are really doing a lot of great stuff there. So that's really cool to hear. So you gave us a really good rundown of a lot of the great stuff that you guys are doing, but I think equally important to some of the listeners would be, what are some of the challenges that you guys have faced along the way? Maybe some of the roadblocks or lessons learned that you've encountered?
It seems to me like each challenge or roadblock is an opportunity. I mean, if you look at let's say when I commute home, I live about 40 miles from my workplace, and there are lots of ways to get home. And so sometimes if there's a lot of traffic one way and it's blocking up the roadway, then I can go another way. And I think it's that way with AI. There are so many different things that could potentially be on our roadmap that there are always things that we can be doing while the traffic is clearing, or while we get through one roadblock. There are lots of other things that we can be doing to move the ball forward. I think that's sort of the approach that we're taking. Some things in government take longer than others. Sometimes the technology just isn't ready. Sometimes we don't have the skills to implement a specific project, but there are others that we can be doing and can make progress on in the meantime. So I think that's sort of the way we approach it here in Utah, is that nothing's really going to stop us. There are things that may slow us down for a little while, but there are other opportunities that open up in that same time period.
Excellent points. I especially like you said about challenges. You can turn them into opportunities if you look at them correctly. So excellent points. I read a report recently by the Brookings Institute, which is a DC-based think tank. It said that the Utah economy would be one of the top 5 in the U.S. affected by AI in the coming years. A lot of that prediction was based on the belief that AI would be able to take on increasingly complex tasks and in the not so distant future be able to replace functions currently performed by humans. And this is viewed as especially relevant in the IT industry. Could you, since Utah was singled out as one of them that's going to be the most affected by this trend, could you talk a little bit about how you view this? Do you see it as a positive or a negative? For instance, do you think there's any concern that AI could do things like replace jobs, lead to increased unemployment rates, those types of things?
I think it's going to replace jobs, but it doesn't need to decrease our employment. Every time that we replace a job, we want to replace it with 2 better jobs. And that's sort of what we've been doing over the past 10 or 15 years here in Utah, is is trying to improve the quality of jobs. And that's what AI can help us do. We can have augmented intelligence where AI does a lot of the more redundant tasks and helps employees to be more efficient. We can also create new jobs, new data scientists. We can focus on the creative aspects of work rather than on the mundane. And I think that will actually elevate people's employment as they're able to learn more and understand how to leverage these new technologies. They'll become more efficient in the workplace, they'll be more productive, and that productivity will lead to increased economic activity and new opportunities. I think Gartner and other think tanks agree with me on that aspect. Utah is #1 in what they call the Hatchman Index, which looks at economic diversity, and areas like mining and agriculture, and obviously the technology sector, which is very important here in Utah, will all be impacted by AI. But if we plan ahead and look at how it will be impacted, then we can make that a positive, and we can develop new job opportunities. It's sort of how we use AI here in Utah to look at employment in general and how we deliver education. We need to focus on an education model that is constantly learning and delivering the skills to adapt to a changing workplace and work environment. And so we have extensive data from our employment people on who is hiring and what kind of skills they need, what they're hiring, and through those analytics, we need to continue to evolve our education systems more quickly to be able to deliver the skills for the new economy.
Now, those are all excellent points, and I think that ties directly into what you were talking about in the last question about being able to view potential issues as opportunities. So really a strong, consistent theme there. I think it's great. So I think we maybe have time for a couple more questions here. Wanted to kind of get your thoughts on the future of artificial intelligence. What are some of the use cases that you're most excited about, or what do you kind of see on the horizon for artificial intelligence in general, and specifically though within the state of Utah? What are some of the future use cases you think you might be looking to adopt that you're most excited about?
We have one right now that our Department of Agriculture, of all departments, is working on to look at brand inspection. Here's something that is very old school. Brands have been around a long time, and we have lots of cattle here in Utah, lots of rangeland, and it's a struggle whenever animals are found, stray animals. You have to look through 16,000 brand images to see who they belong to. AI, we've implemented an AI program that does image recognition and can quickly tell you, someone sends in an image of the stray cow with its brand, and instead of people having to look through 16,000 images to find out who it belongs to, they can just turn it to the AI, and it'll tell you who it is immediately. So those kinds of use cases, whether it's image recognition, being able to catalog all of our Department of Natural Resources image collections, chatbot and artificial assistants are an important use case for us with the COVID response. Our workload by our customer service center expanded dramatically as people wanted to find out how to get government assistance in various areas. And so we turned on a chatbot that responded to all kinds of COVID related questions and offloaded a lot of that workload. We're going to be able to make better decisions. So as we get into deep learning and being able to better analyze our unstructured data, right now we're really good with machine learning and analyzing structured data, which is where we focused our data efforts in the past. But we have tremendous amounts of unstructured data that we'll be able to better understand with deep learning and neural networks. So those are some of the opportunities, and there are lots more.
Yeah, no, that's great. You guys are doing some really good stuff, and sounds like you have a lot more on the horizon around AI. I think we're kind of getting to the end of our time here. Just any other thoughts that you'd like to share, Dave? Anything else sort of top of mind, or anything else about any of the directions that Utah is planning to go in AI, or just the floor is yours. Anything else that you would like to talk about on the topic?
Yeah, I think things like transportation and air quality, those are a couple of things that are going to be really important for us. Air quality in the winter can get pretty bad, especially with all the fires that we've had, and even we get a lot of smoke that's blown in from California and Nevada fires and sit in our valleys, and having sensor networks that can analyze that data, pull it in, and have AI be able to analyze it and respond to it quicker, and identify solutions to improve the air quality. We've got a big connected vehicles project. So as we roll out more autonomous vehicles, being able to make our transportation flows more efficient. We have all of our signals in the state connected so that we're getting real-time data from all of our traffic signals, both city and state. And it takes AI to analyze those kinds of things, and to be able to also respond to the cybersecurity issues where we've got billions of potential attackers trying to get into our networks and our data. Being able to secure that requires a good AI strategy, and so we've been able to use Google Chronicle and Splunk and tools like that to be able to better analyze and develop a ability response plan and reduce our risks in those areas.
It's a segue to introduce in a few another AI Industry Day where we're going to be diving much deeper into the area of cybersecurity also. So that's a great point, one of certainly of high interest to state and other government entities. Well, Dave, I just want to say thank you very much for being here with me and sharing all of your thoughts and insights with me and with our audience. And thank you to our audience. It's been great being with you here today, and thank you for being with us throughout the program. Stay tuned for some final thoughts from Rick Pena, the Chief Technology Advisor of Public Sector and WWT, and